Let's do this, Surf family. Nick is out today. We're holding down the fort. We have no intro song. Oh
Sing
my
it for us.
goodness.
We just do a little acapella.
This is more, I think, catastrophic to my emotions than the Bitcoin dump right now. So I mean, this is a serious problem. But I jest around. What's going on, family? It is Thursday, October 30th. We got a lot to cover today. Fed cuts signals the end of QT, quantitative tightening, and yet, despite all of this, it's buy the rumor, sell the news, isn't it, folks? And we said that might happen. So we'll tell you what we thought might happen, what we got right, what we got wrong, where we think we go within the next, 2 weeks, 1 month. And then, of course, we have some other stories to cover for you, some Solana stories. I know Nate's got some good stuff queued up here, but let's just not bury the lead. So, I mean, Fed 2 p.m. yesterday announces what we had expected, right? We said essentially a foregone conclusion that we would get a 25 basis point cut and the Fed would signal the end of QT. And they did both those things, right? 25 basis point cut, and they said QT, quantitative tightening, is going to end on December 1st. And, when I see that, I'm like, all right, game on, baby, game on. And, of course, Powell starts to speak. And we said this too, right? We said it always depends on the press conference. The market moves not so much on the rate cut itself, but what he says and what he signals going forward. And unfortunately, he said a lot of dovish things, right? We're more concerned about the labor market. We're pivoting away from QT. Inflation's a little higher than we want, but we still more focused on the labor market. Like, we expected all that. And then the guy goes out and says the December cut is not certain. Far from it. And when he said those words, I knew. I was like, oh, shit. Oh, we're in a little bit of trouble here. We're in a little bit of trouble. But I still, by the way, think they're going to cut the rates in December. So it's Fed speak. It's equivocation. He doesn't want to lock himself into a story. There was a dissent on both sides. One guy wanted to stay pat. One guy wanted to cut more. Stephen Mirren wanted a 50 basis point. That kind of wash. That was a wash in my view. And then so he says, it's far from a foregone conclusion on the December cut. And the market did not react favorably to that. But I don't really mind because outside of our funds being traded on Frontier Fund, I'm a long-term holder. We always thought this was going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news. And my view here was let's look to see where we're at within 2 weeks after this cut. Let's see where we're at 2 weeks from now, and then we'll kind of know this story more. Because right now, this is a lot of manipulation. It's a lot of just leverage trading bullshit. I don't think this really signals one way or another we're going to be in 2 weeks, let alone in December. So, Nate, I don't know if you got a chance to watch the meeting or read about it or get, I want to get your take on it, and then where you think we go from here.
Yeah, it turned into exactly what we talked about. Kind of, I was leaning more on the bearish side, short term, I guess, of the three of us. With the buy the rumor, sell the news, that's what we got. Like you said, largely due to the market kind of front running the 25 basis point cut, as well as Powell's statements saying that the December cut is uncertain. That I think it's certain. I think most people would agree it's certain. I think if he doesn't do it, he's not going to make it to May. So we'll see what happens. I do believe we'll get the cut in December, but who knows? We told you guys a year, 6 months, 9 months, a year from now, I think we're going to be in a very happy place, higher than we are now, but it's not going to be an easy road to get there. It's going to be a lot of volatility. They're going to pull new tricks. There's going to be all kinds of different things that happen to try and shake you out. It's going to be a rough road to get to hoe, but going to be worth it if you stay glued to your seat and glued to the channel and follow along with us. But we saw this big W emerge here, nice bullish W, but we didn't get a close above the front side of this W here. We got these wicks there. There was kind of a line in the sand. We really wanted to see a close up above 116, 117 here. Didn't get that. That's what kind of had me in that more bearish short-term mode of I think we're gonna come back down, retest these lows. 104, and I could see us sweeping that 100K mark again, which if we do, take that as a gift. Get out there, get your bags ready if you have any dry powder left. If we see Bitcoin back down under 100K, which I don't think it'll stay there very long, ETH is going to be on fire sale. All the top alts are going to be on fire sale. Anything you've had your eye on, you're going to have a cycle what was it? What do they call that? Not a lifetime buying opportunity, but a cycle buying opportunity to get in. Before we continue to move up here this cycle. So, yeah, short term, I do think we see at least a retest of these lows from earlier in the month. Maybe a sweep down to 100K there, or high 90s. But by the end of the year, within the next 2 months, I think it's up and away, new all-time highs. Once people get a little more confident about the rate cut in December, and we see some of this QE and other things kick in here. One thing that was a bit surprising, though, that really kind of maybe talks about how bearish the sentiment is in the markets. We got the trade deal done successfully today. A lot of positive news around the trade deal in America's favor. Things went well. Both Xi and President Trump came out and said, "Hey, meeting went well." The two world's biggest superpowers on good terms again with each other, at least for the next year. Even that didn't budge the markets. Markets still dumping as we speak. That was one of those things we talked about earlier this week. That could be a very bullish scenario for prices this week. Got the bullish scenario, but didn't get the bullish prices. Unfortunately, we're still dumping here. So that was kind of our last hope. What I thought might save us this week and give us a little pump, off this low off the speech last night by Powell. But the positive trade and tariff announcements seem to not have phased the market a bit. That came out. I think we were still around the 110 area, and now dipping down into the 107 range. So I foresee continued downside through the weekend here.
Feels like in this market, and this has been a trend going back, I don't know how many months now, but whatever you think is going to happen, the opposite's going to happen. And I think that's largely due to the manipulation and just what's happening in the leverage trading world, because the exchanges and the market makers see an opportunity like, okay, longs are piling in because we just had this dip here, and news is about to break that Trump and Xi are going to come to some sort of an accord on tariffs, and so a lot of people are piling in these longs, and opposite, dump further. and then what's going to happen is everyone's going to get on Nate's side and say, yeah, it's going lower, guys. There's no catalyst coming. I'm going to pile in these shorts here and try to make a quick buck on a short, and then bam, they'll pump it out of the blue. So I just predicting the short-term price movements in this day and age, where perpetuals and leverage trading has really taken over the market, I would argue, it's a fool's errand. It's a very difficult game to play. But you need to look at the longer-term trends here. Bottom line, zoom out. We're kind of in the same ranges we've been in the last 3 months. We've been consolidating between $100,000 Bitcoin, or maybe never even got quite that low, to 125 for 3 months. So, to me, we're still in that range. We're still kind of bouncing, and the market doesn't quite know which way to go. You got a lot of whales selling out, but you got institutions buying in, and it's just kind of a wash. At some point, I think that pressure is going to build, the dam's going to break, whatever analogy or metaphor you want to use, and eventually we'll bounce to the upside here. Because, yeah, I know Powell said not a foregone conclusion in December, but if you look at Polymarket, we're still 75% chance of a rate cut in December. I'm firmly with Nate here. We are going to get it. And then it's just a question of, when does QE start in earnest? When do they start buying up stuff rather than stopping selling? That's a big inflection point as well. But my guess is we're eventually going to break to the upside. We're eventually going to blast above that 125K all-time high. It's just a matter of when. It's not a matter of if.
Yeah, this is from July, basically, when we broke out of the previous range here, which this range was started in May. So, May all the way through July, basically 2.5 months, we got sideways and then broke up here, hit the first all-time high at, almost 125 there, 123-ish. And we've just been ranging since then. So pretty much since July 8th here, we've been kind of stuck in this range. We might, we've seen a few wicks down lower. I think we'll probably see another wick down lower again. But these are the sideways boring markets. That's what's been happening. That's the ETF kind of model. It's not these huge parabolic moves up. It's sideways, jump up here, sideways, jump up here, sideways, and then we'll see another jump up here. So we're kind of trading in some of the volatility. I mean, still plenty of volatility here if you're a trader, but instead of this nothing parabolic run dead, we might start seeing Bitcoin over the long term acting more like an ETF traded stock, gold, things of that nature.
I mean, that's been our thesis for a while now as we've been watching these markets, and you start to realize that it may be now unlikely that you have a prolonged multi-year crypto winter with a 70% drawdown. There's a lot of liquidity now. There's a lot of institutional buyers. 70% drawdown on Bitcoin is not a likely thing in my view. But the 20% drawdowns, that's common. Even in the stock market, that's common, right? And so why would that not happen to this asset class, particularly Bitcoin, as it matures? It's only reasonable and logical to assume that. So, and we've seen it play out. I mean, here's the data. Here's the proof. So yeah, the 20% drawdowns suck. The consolidations are boring. I'm not sitting here saying, yay, I'm loving this. But you got to take the suck to get the great. And right now we're in a little bit of a suck. And eventually it's going to flip bullish and we'll get the great again. So, patience is your friend. Zoom out. Hodl here. Hodl here. And the interesting thing, too, about yesterday's conference, I just want to circle back to that real quick. Again, we sort of predicted a lot of it. Got the 25 base point, signaled into QT. But that's where it gets interesting, because just because you've ended QT doesn't necessarily mean that risk assets start to pump like that day. Right? Because that just means liquidity is no longer being drained out of the market. It doesn't mean that there's more being added. So you kind of need the full pivot, not just the partial pivot, right? Okay, we're ending QT. Now you need them to start buying up treasuries and securities and so on. That's when you get risk on. And yeah, Ted Pillows, great analyst, came out with this tweet I thought was very relevant here. And he looks back to 2019, and it shows, or was it? It was 2020. Just because when they ended QT doesn't mean the market started pumping. They needed to. The market started pumping when they started QE. So we may be a little bit of a ways away here, ladies and gents. So yeah, patience is your friend once again.
Hey, that's I wrote that whole article, or whatever you want to call it, little thread on Twitter and LinkedIn. I think Q1, Q2, we're going to be very bullish. I see us, bear market not till after the elections next year. So, we could trickle around and bounce around and stay ranging to the end of the year. Maybe have a little pump, a new all-time high, but not, 200. Could be 130, 150 by the end of the year. And then we really see things rip as we get that QE kicking in next year. We get more rate cuts as those continue in 2026. Which is why I'm bullish on pre-sales right now. The projects, if you get in good projects now, you're going to be invested, Q2 next year, you're going to be laughing, sitting on a big fat bag of unlocked tokens that on a project that's pumped 50x, and you're going to be ready to rock and roll.
That's how you get on the beach, ladies and gents.
I'm manifesting this.
I'm
channeling.
Right. I mean, yeah, the only potential roadblock to all of it is, inflation. If inflation decides to rear its ugly head again, and I don't think that's going to happen, but it could, then they don't do the QE, and they keep things tight as they can, and they just drag this out for longer. The reason I don't think that happens, though, and even Powell admitted this yesterday in the conference, he said, look, tariffs are affecting inflation on the goods side, imported goods to some degree, but that we believe that's going to be transitory. It's a one-time price adjustment. And that doesn't necessarily sort of cause runaway inflation. It's just going to be a one-time bump. And anyway, it's just on goods, imported goods. It's just one small piece of the pie the Fed's looking at. When they look at the PCE and CPI and so on, these inflation data reports. A lot of it's to do with housing. A lot of it's to do with rent cost. There's a lot of factors that go into what constitutes the inflation number. So I don't think we just out of the blue, because of tariffs, re-spark and reignite inflation. I don't see that happening. What I foresee, because trends normally stay going in the direction they're going. And right now the trend, it's not reignite inflation. The trend is the job market and the labor market deteriorating more and more. Obviously you have the shutdown That's going to start showing up in the data. These folks haven't worked. They haven't got a paycheck. And I know the federal workforce, it's a lot of people, but it's not all of the economy by any means. Then you have the fact that all these big tech companies, Amazon, 30,000 layoffs. UPS, I think 40,000. You go down the list, there was like 10 companies doing major layoffs. I just foresee a further deterioration of labor, more so than you foresee a reignition of inflation. And so therefore, you should be looking forward, and you should be saying, okay, they are going to cut rates in December, and they are going to be forced to start QE at some point. Not to mention, too, Powell is getting replaced in May, and they're already floating out names. So they may do an official sort of nominee here by the end of the year. I've seen that speculated that before the end of the year, Trump will actually set forth an official, here's the nominee, right, for May.
That'll be another newsworthy pump event. If we get a dovish guy who's bullish on crypto, that'll send the markets.
Well, my money is on Christopher Waller, who is exactly that, right?
Yeah.
And he is, as I understand it, the current front runner. He is a known dove. He actually voted for rate cuts earlier in the summer when no one else wanted rate cuts. He embraces crypto. He was the guy who headed up that symposium or conference where they had a bunch of, the bigwigs from crypto, the Chainlink guy and so on, et cetera, talking about how the Fed is going to integrate blockchain in some way, shape, or form. Anyway, he was that guy. So he's embracing crypto. So my guess is they nominate Christopher Waller, and then that is a newsworthy thing. You know what's interesting, though, too? You mentioned the China and Trump tariff talks. I just looked on the news. That does seem to be at least announced in, like, early stage. But is anything in concrete, has anything really been announced from okay, here's the reduction. Here are the terms. Here's the actual agreement. Or it's kind of like, oh, wait, fuck. Yeah, okay. There it is.
Out of here for you.
There it is. God damn it. All right. Well, that was my hope for the pump. Looks like it ain't coming.
I was hoping we would get, that might be what turns it around. Or I was at least thinking that was our last hope for a pump here. But yeah, they came out, everything very positive. Both sides happy, apparently. Trump saying that, meeting went very well. Here's the details on it. Market continues to dump. Market actually dumped after this came out. Around this afternoon. It was announced this afternoon. Markets were still at like 110, 111, and now they're down at 107. So
this is a good deal. I mean, I'm no trade expert, but like it seems like both sides got stuff they wanted, right? I mean, this seems all very positive. Hey, crypto bulls, traders, where are you guys at? Try to pump the markets. Let's make it happen. First of all, I want to give some shout outs to everyone who's watching the stream right now. Appreciate you guys. Remember, watch the streams, engage. If you can't do that, follow, comment, later on is fine, and get your chance to win $1,000 a month being given out by Crypto Paradise. So, Thursdays, volatility day. Is that a thing? Are Thursdays more volatile? I don't even know. I thought it was Mondays or whatever. That's Nick's theory anyway. December looking scary. Oh, yeah. So this is interesting. Maybe we should take a poll, right? We should take a poll, Crypto Paradise. Are you bullish or are you bearish? And then just inverse trade that, right? Because if everyone's bearish, the market's pumping. Everyone's bullish, the market's dumping. That's the story of the cycle, guys. So good morning, all. Good morning. Roan thinks 98K Bitcoin. I don't want to see it.
98K at year's end, or that's where the low point.
I guess probably sometime within the next little bit of time, and then we start running. Who knows, man? Who knows? A lot of different trend lines you can draw. A lot of different things you can draw on those graphs. If there was one that was 100% correct all the time, trust me, you wouldn't be watching the show. You'd be out there just, trading that trend line, and you'd be rich as fuck right now. But it doesn't work that way. It's never quite that easy. Bearish until February. So everyone's bearish, right? Everyone is bearish. Except me. I'm never bearish. Everyone is bearish. Does that not mean we start pumping to wreck the shorts? Let's see if my theory is correct. I still think in 2 weeks we're higher than where we're at today. We obviously have, that's 14 days of a lot of leverage longs and shorts getting washed out. But we'll see where things go, ladies and gents. Not what you want to see from a market standpoint. You get Trump and Xi coming together. This agreement looks solid, right? And yet, we're lower to the right. I wonder what our friends at Frontier Fund are thinking right now, because I know we had a long in over there. Hope that didn't get wrecked.
I just dropped a poll in both the Dow and the Surf Dow and the Surf community. Are you bullish or bearish? Do we close 2025 with an all-time high? That's the bullish vote. Or is the top in for the year? That is the bearish vote. So if you're watching, go in there. Let us know what you're thinking. We'll read out the results here before the end of the stream here. But let us know, Crypto Paradise fam. Which way are we going?
Which way are we going? Look, it's very hard not to get trapped in the moment too, right? Like, because I guarantee you, if we were pumping right now, we'd have majority saying we're up by the end of the year. Right? That's just how it is. We're always trapped in the moment. I'm a victim of that as much as anyone. You try not to be, but it's human nature, right? But we're red today. So I'm guessing everyone's bearish. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. Trying to get trapped in the moment, trying to get trapped in your emotions based on the charts on a day-to-day basis. I know it's not easy, but zoom out. Zoom out. Actually, by the way, I did that this morning, right? I was looking at the charts. I was curious, Where were we? Where were we a month ago? We're about, I think, 2 or 3% down from where we are 30 days ago. Where were we 3 months ago? Same thing. About 2-3% lower than 3 months. Where were we a year ago? Oh wait, we're 50 or 60% higher than we were a year ago. Okay, I feel a little bit better. I feel a little bit better. Back, when we were at $60,000 Bitcoin, prior to last year at this time, and Trump hadn't even won the election. So we were at about 60 or something K. So zoom out. When in doubt, it always makes you feel better.
We're only up 717% from the low in the bear market. On Bitcoin. It's not, in 2 years, you're only up on average of 3.5x per year. It's all right.
If you bought the low or you held, if you held, yeah. Zooming out always makes you feel better. The question, of course, in everyone's mind is, how much higher does this cycle go? What's so interesting is we haven't had the parabolic move, in my estimation. Maybe you argue that the last pump was the parabolic move, but it doesn't look like it. Didn't feel like it. The sentiment wasn't all-time highs, max greed, we're getting rich forever. The sentiment was just, oh, okay, another Bitcoin pump. We were happy for 2 weeks, and then it started to consolidate and go down, so then we got sad again. We haven't had the parabolic phase. So how are you going to have the 70 or 60% drawdown, or whatever that big drawdown ends up being this time, without the parabolic move? It just doesn't make sense to me.
It's a great point. Very good point. We looked at an article, I think yesterday or the day before, saying, when they've made this rate cut, that Bitcoin has traditionally dumped 6 to 8%. Let's see what that would look like on the chart. We were around 112 when the rate cut announcement went out, somewhere in this ballpark. Let's call it 112. So 6% would take us down to 105. 8% takes us down, kind of sweeps the lows from before around 103. So that's the average. Obviously, statistics, you're within a range, but the average would take us back down to the lows here. We could drop lower, but the other side to remember of that from that post was that before the next rate cut happened, we were already back at new all-time highs. So again, November could be volatile. We could see swings down here in the 100,000 range, and then before the rate cuts in December, be back up, new all-time highs, 130K Bitcoin. That's a roller coaster. That's part of this industry. You just got to get used to that stuff.
Yeah, embrace the volatility, embrace the chaos. Well, there's money to be made in the volatility too, guys. Like if you're good at trading. But I don't know if we get an 8% drawdown here. Let's see how much lower it goes.
Well, we've talked 20 to 30% dips in a bear market or a bull market are completely normal. We've had them every single time. We're not even, we dipped down 18% here. 20% from the high puts us at right at about 100K. 25 takes us down to mid 90s. So, the people that are out there screaming, oh, market's over, bear market, like, why? Like, this is perfectly within line of everything we've seen in every other cycle previously.
And we only have 40 days, by the way, until the next rate decision. The next FOMC meeting is on December 9th and 10th. So we are exactly 40 days. I checked, by the way, it's 40 days. I Googled it before the show. 40 days until the next cut.
You know what date
you would
is?
assume that there would start to be a run-up prior to that cut, especially if we get data that suggests that we're going to get another cut, whether that's bad labor market readings, whether that's subdued inflation. You start to get those data points that come out, and people start front running the next cut. So I know it sucks now. This is not the outcome anybody wanted, but we did say, look, buy the rumor, sell the news is pretty much par for the course on these rate decisions. Usually, you have a little bit of run up going into it, and then it happens, and then it's sell the news because that's just what traders love to do. So it happened again. No one should be surprised. And that's why I said yesterday, let's look to see where we are in 2 weeks following this cut. Let's not get overly caught up in the day after or the day of, where it's always very volatile.
Well, the next, he said, I think it's December 10th, right? Is the next.
Yeah, correct.
So there's
9th
our,
and 10th
there's
is
our,
the meeting.
there's our FOMC line in the sand. Right there.
Yeah. There we go.
Where's my drawing tool? Give us a nice little LARP line here.
And I read an interesting thing too, and this was just some random comments on X, so take it for a grain of salt, but I think it could make a bit of sense. If Powell goes out and is overly dovish, right? We're absolutely looking at 3 or 4 more cuts. December, we're looking at a cut. We're looking at a 50 basis point. Like, if he goes out super dovish, he then risks actually reigniting inflation, because then you have a market melt up. And if you know who's spending the money in this economy, it's pretty much only the wealthy folks who own the assets. So all of a sudden they're feeling much richer because their stock portfolio is up another 20% or whatever it is in a couple month time frame. And that's how you reignite inflation. You don't want the market melt up. So maybe he said that to sort of, all right, hey, stock market's already looking real frothy. NVIDIA hits $5 trillion just yesterday. All these AI trades. Everyone's printing over in the stock market. Let's subdue things a little bit. Let's calm things down. I'm going to say something a little bit bearish here in the conference. I don't know if he thinks that way. I don't truly know if that's what's going through his head, but it certainly worked out that way, didn't it?
Yeah, who knows how much of it's premeditated, how much of it is spur of the moment. I'd imagine he's rehearsing at least something ahead of time. But
well, he has his he reads his remarks, right? He does a read speech. He reads a speech, okay, and that's very cut and dry, and it's not. You don't get any bombshells, but it's the questions that because he answers questions 30 or 40 minutes from the reporters, and that's normally when the bombshells get dropped, or he says something wrong, or maybe two. Who knows, right? And the market overreacts. So that's kind of the world we're living in. Very sensitive to Powell's commentary in the questions, and market reacts accordingly. I think we're getting a bit of an overreaction here. This is not the time to panic, sell your bags. If you hold spot and you believe in this asset class, and you're like Michael Saylor or maybe like Crypto Amaru and want to bequeath your Bitcoin to your grandkids, this ain't the time to panic sell, guys. It's just not.
There's my LARP lines for everybody. That's
beautiful.
Now to my ugly LARP lines.
Yeah. It looks like a bit like an ugly dick. So good work. Yeah. Good work. Good work. Drawn is on top bar. Yeah, I know. We never said Nate was Michelangelo, okay? He's not Leonardo goddamn Da Vinci. He's just a G-Gen like the rest of us, okay? So calm down. Calm down. Appreciate your guys' comments. What else we got on tap for today, news-wise?
Well, we've got some bullish news, some odd news, some bearish stuff. I think we've kind of talked a lot about the bearish stuff, but On the bullish side, we've got Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, coming out saying that all G20 nations are going to have an established strategic Bitcoin reserve very soon. I can definitely believe see that happening. Whether or not it will happen before the end of this cycle, I don't know, but I would imagine within the next 5 years, most serious nations out there, and a lot of them, like we've seen, the nations that are completely broken, their currency's defunct, have gone into using Bitcoin and creating a strategic reserve. But a lot of the more wealthy nations, I would imagine, are going to have the Bitcoin arms race continue to heat up and bring all G20 nations into the fold of a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Which, imagine what that does for the price of Bitcoin when you have not just the U.S. and a few other minor nations, but all the most powerful economies in the world vying to get the limited supply of Bitcoin that's left out there.
Yeah, this is one of these long-term trends and long-term stories that, like, us crypto degens are probably impatient for it to finally come to fruition. But you just have to accept that this is going to take a while for more nation states to sort of come online, as it were, and start buying up Bitcoin. I absolutely think this is going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. It may not even happen in a year from now. But in 5 years from now, my guess is absolutely. Not only do we have most nation states having established a Bitcoin strategic reserve, having actually purchased Bitcoin, I just wonder when the first nation's going to come up and say, we're going to peg our currency to Bitcoin. We're going to go to the Bitcoin standard because this fiat nonsense is inflating the value of our currency to zero, and we need a hard asset to tie our money to. That's the aha, like, oh my God, Bitcoin's done it. Bitcoin solved that problem. So who knows when that happens? But yeah, just be patient, guys. These are long-term stories. It's not going to be tomorrow that Brazil and Germany and Spain and Italy and U.S. and Russia, China all start buying Bitcoin. But I do think it's an inevitability.
Absolutely. More and more cases like this pushing us towards that inevitability. MasterCard says it's acquiring Bitcoin infrastructure firm Zero Hash for $2 billion, another massive crypto acquisition. TradFi companies coming in and buying crypto companies. We've seen a lot of internal stuff, but now we're seeing more and more TradFi coming in and buying up Web3 assets. But one of the largest, you have basically Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. Those are the three players in the field. All three heavily involved in crypto now. But very bullish to see MasterCard coming in, not just starting to adopt Bitcoin rails and offer services, but actually going out there and putting some real skin in the game and spending some serious cash to acquire their own infrastructure to start building themselves on Bitcoin and into cryptocurrency. So super bullish. I'd expect to see more and more acquisitions like this starting to happen here in the coming years here. Just because the bear market starts, don't expect the M&A market to slow down, and it's going to heat up if anything.
Oh, I agree with that for sure. M&A market is on fire right now, thanks to Donald J. Trump and getting those obstinate nanny state regulators out. All my buddies who work on Wall Street are very happy about that. But in any event, this is an interesting story because, yeah, I agree, a long-term trend. I mean, you're going to start to see these industries sort of coming together and acquiring businesses and integrating blockchain technology and all that good stuff. The funny thing is, in a bull run, right? In a true bull run, not in this weird consolidation, everyone's like mostly bearish and fears over here. But in a true like bullish scenario, this is something that you get an announcement like this, and Bitcoin should be up 2-3%. Particularly, maybe not Bitcoin, but an altcoin. If you get an altcoin that partners up or is going to get acquired by some big company during a bull run, that's, hey, you're up 5, 6, 7% on the day. And that's just not happening. So there's a lot of bullish stories happening, quote, behind the scenes or in the background, not moving the markets yet, which is frustrating, but I do think enough of them in their totality, you start to get that groundswell, and eventually the stories like these, markets do move higher.
Absolutely. And it's not the only story out there. Lots of other bullish news. Samsung, I mean, everybody knows it's one of the biggest companies in the world. They're enabling Ethereum staking directly on your Galaxy devices natively. Now, 200 million plus people are now going to have direct one-tap access to ETH yields. ETH is, as much as a hater as I've been on ETH, and I think I justifiably so over the past few years, Man, they are eating everyone's lunch right now. When it comes to all the other L1s, they have all of the adoption. They're gonna win the stable coin game. They've got all the strategic reserves coming online, and stuff like this. This is gonna continue to bring retail in. When retail, the mass retail, finally makes the leap into Web3, this is how they're gonna do it. They're gonna onboard through native apps, native infrastructure plays that they're already used to using. They're not going to be going on PancakeSwap and MetaMask out the gate. This is what's going to help onboard, potentially 200 million people into ETH to stake it directly on their app. Very, very cool stuff. Very, very bullish. Now, obviously, the goal is eventually to get those people to get into DeFi to self-custody. This is going to be some form of, I'm sure, centralized custody and centralized staking, but it's a foot in the door. Once you get here, then people can continue to educate themselves. They have an interest in it, to start learning more and more about decentralization, why it's important, and what the advantages are there, and move into that realm. But this is a good step in the right direction. To be fair, DeFi is not ready for 200 million retail users to come on board. We need people like Samsung to be building apps right now, because if these people tried to use the DeFi platforms, they'd pull their hair out and they'd lose all their money. Which, I mean, I had another episode Sunday. I was trying to buy a token and about threw my computer through the wall, because even after, more than 5 years full-time crypto, doing this day in and day out, 7 days a week, I still have issues from time to time with DeFi platforms that just don't work how they're supposed to. So good on Samsung. And again, to the industry, this is on us. We need to build better products. We need to build better front ends so that people can actually use these amazing DeFi tools that we're building. Get on it. The money's out there. Let's make it happen.
Even if it starts out centralized, as long as it's secure, like my stock portfolio was all held in a centralized account at Schwab or wherever I hold all my stocks. I don't mind it because it works fine, and I'm not worried they're going to run off my money, right? Because they're subject to the laws and of the United States, and they just don't. That's not what happens in the stock market. Your broker doesn't run off with your money. So as long as we get to a point where, okay, it's perfectly safe and secure, no one's going to steal your funds, but you can, with a click of a couple buttons, buy an ETH, 1 ETH, half an ETH, fraction of an ETH. Button 1, buy it, enter your credit card. Okay, now you bought it. Button 2, stake it. Boom, that's it. Then you just watch your phone and go, oh, wow, I earned $3 today. Oh, $10 today. Oh, $20 today. Oh, this is great. So easy to make money doing nothing. I'm going to tell my friends. I don't care if it's centralized. That's fucking great. That's absolutely great. That is how you get on the next billion people. Because billion people ain't going to figure out MetaMask. They're just not. Only the really motivated people are going to walk through those hoops and jump through those hoops. I get frustrated by DeFi too all the time. We were just complaining about this in the DAO group the other day. I forget the context of it, but someone was like frustrated with something related to DeFi or whatever, or a wallet that didn't work with Pulse Chain or something. And they're like, how are we going to get the normies in? And I'm like, I know, dude, this is not good. This is not good. But this story is great. This is what we need. Click of a button buy, click of a button stake. Watch you earn money. You can withdraw to your bank account. Boom, boom, boom. It doesn't matter if it's centralized. If it's easy and people can make money on it, people will come into crypto.
Yep, this is how you onboard people. It's not MetaMask and Hyperloop good. Not yet. We'll get there. But right now, I love seeing stories like this. What else we got bullish in the same vein here? JP Morgan tokenizing private equity funds on the bank's own blockchain. So they're gearing up to launch their tokenization platform called Kinexys Fund Flow next year. Anyways, one of the largest banks in the world. We've seen a lot of bullish stuff coming out of JP Morgan, despite Jamie Dimon still talking shit on blockchain and Bitcoin. They're one of the most forward-thinking banks out there. They're one of the first to start buying and offering Bitcoin to their customers. They were the first to announce they want to do their own stable coin. Now they're saying they're building their own blockchain. I don't know what to think about JP Morgan, but good to see more adoption like this.
Well, it's a private, centralized blockchain. So you and I we will not be touching the assets over, on that platform. It's going to be for their institutional clients, their private clients with a lot of money. So it's not going to be a retail thing. But
It's a
it just
great
shows
case
you, hey, the
study.
blockchain is legit technology is being adopted. Jamie
Exactly.
Dimon has changed his tune, by the way, on Bitcoin and crypto and blockchain. He really has. I mean, he's maybe not embraced it to the extent of like a Michael Saylor, but he's said a lot of positive things about it over the past 3, 4, 5, 6 months. So he's not anti it like he used to be. It's not easy to convince a banker that the system that he's lived in for so long may end up being replaced or somehow co-opted by a different system. Like there's going to be a
Obsolete.
natural aversion to that. No, 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 no. That's my livelihood. Don't do that. But hey, wait. We can actually work within this. We can acquire these companies. We can make money off of this. Oh, I don't hate it so much anymore. It's not so bad. I can make money. It's not going to take my job away. We're happy. Bankers are happy. Wall Street's happy. So I'm not.
Well,
Jamie Dimon.
I think
cannot
Jamie
draw
Dimon
my
and all
conclusion.
these guys that have been talking shit on Bitcoin, it's not because they actually don't believe in Bitcoin and the underlying technology. It's because they do see it and they do see how it's going to disrupt their way of life and everything that they've built, and they want to shit on it because they want to slow it down as much as they can till they can get to the point where like, okay, now we're going to make our own blockchain, we're going to have our own stable coin, we can monetize this. Now I'm not scared about it anymore. Okay, thumbs up, let's go. So I think Jamie Dimon is a very smart man. I just that doesn't, just because of what he says publicly doesn't mean that's what he believes in his heart.
That's true too. Take all the sayings of the bankers with a grain of salt. They're always an ulterior motive. But I'm happy to see the banks and Wall Street embrace crypto and blockchain. It's obviously probably the biggest macro story affecting Bitcoin and Ethereum certainly over the past year or two. So I mean it's positive if you're a hodler.
Now, very important, especially along those lines of don't believe everything you read. Breaking news, Eric Trump confirming U.S.-based crypto products will have zero capital gains. First comment, Eric Trump, this is garbage. This is untrue. So be careful. Don't trust every single story that you read out there. It is good. Obviously, Community Notes has done a great job helping suss out fake stories, but they don't catch all of them. They don't catch them all immediately. But fortunately, Eric Trump did see this and commenting. I just thought it was funny after talking about, be careful what you read. Had this queued up here. So do take things with a grain of salt, folks. Just because Jamie Dimon says Bitcoin is garbage doesn't mean that's what he believes. That's what he wants you to believe because, he has ulterior motives to push his own company's profits one way or another. So, be careful what you read out there.
Yeah, anytime you see a story that sounds like too good to be true on X, it usually is. But all you need to do is just Google real quick. Is U.S.-based crypto project going to have zero capital gains? And you're not going to see it pop up on legit news sources. You know what I mean?
Click the little Grok button there. Grok,
Oh, there you go. Even better.
Yeah.
We don't even need Google anymore. Use AI. Use Grok.
Yeah.
Just right in the thing.
Grok basically telling you it's full of shit.
Yeah, easy. So you can suss out bad information, and also too, like, look at the source. This is like a random dude on X. This is not like Cointelegraph that has editors and editorial standards, and people will get fired if it's untrue. This is just a dude with a lot of, I don't know who the hell this guy is, a visionary. He's a UAE visionary. Got a lot of followers. But, anyone can just make things up on X. So, use your critical thinking, guys. Critical thinking. It's very helpful. It's going to save you money and make you money.
Well, and another great example of not taking things at face value. This is a story that's a true story, but when you dig deeper a little bit, it's the story unfolds itself. So, Western Union CEO announces we chose Solana over Ripple because Solana is faster, more efficient, more secure, and more reliable than Ripple. To which all the XRP people were moaning and complaining, bitching and moaning nonstop all day on X until they dug a little deeper. Which, first off, I have no love lost for the XRP community, so didn't hate seeing this necessarily. But the truth of the matter is Solana had to pay $25 million up front to get this deal and put up another $25 million in liquidity, and the deal's only good for 6 months. So this is a completely paid sponsorship from Solana. The CEO coming out and saying they chose them because it's faster, more efficient, more secure, more reliable than Ripple. It should read, hey, they gave us more money faster than Ripple did, so we went with Solana. But yeah, the Solana ended up paying him a total of $50 million for a 6-month partnership, after which it's going to be back up to the largest bidder again there. Interesting move by Solana. I don't think Solana is going to make $50 million on this in the next 6 months. In fact, I would almost guarantee they're not going to. Obviously a PR stunt, but a very, very transparent PR stunt. Very quickly, scattered out. Everybody's just commenting now about the deal that was struck. So a bit of a confusing deal. I don't know what was going on or what the logic behind this was for Solana. I know they're trying to legitimize themselves in the eyes of the average degen and institutional investor to be a chain that's worth something other than meme coins, but I don't see how this benefits you.
Yeah, it's gonna be curious. It's gonna be interesting to see how many transactions end up running on Solana based on this partnership. I don't know the deals of that, but it's funny again because in a bull market, I don't care whether the fine print on the story is a little bit suspect and a little bit, it's pay to play. Dude, in a bull market, Solana's pumping today on this story. But we're not in a bull market. Not for altcoins, guys. Not even for Bitcoin, apparently. So, this is the world we're living in. Bullish stories.
Solana dumping today.
And, market go down. So, great stuff.
Solana down almost 7% even with that news breaking today.
Yeah. So. Because, look, stories like that don't really move the needle. Not anymore. Not like it used to. Remember 2017? Dude, 2017, if you had any kind of recognizable name associated with the crypto project, you'd be looking at if it was an altcoin, low cap gem, I mean, you could do like a 2x in a day, 5x in a week. And a lot of times those were really fugazi partnerships. Remember the trend when people would say partnership with Google or partnership with Amazon? Turns out they were just using Amazon Web Services.
People still do that in their decks, and it annoys the shit out of me. Partner with Binance. It's you're launching on BNB. That doesn't make you a Binance partner.
I know. But the market sees through that now. No one buys in that. But in 2017, that would actually move the needle.
Even last cycle, you'd have a project that would have, Animoca on their deck. It's going to fly. It had, Evan Luthor on the deck. That's going to fly. You got Mario Nafal on the deck. It's going to fly. Nowadays, you can have, the most stacked cap table in the world and every influencer behind you. If Bitcoin's going down, you're fucked, bud.
I know. Oh, I miss those halcyon days, those heady days of markets pumping easily. Good Lord. I miss those days. What do we got here? Good Pulse Chain news. Definitely stuff happening in Pulse Chain. Definitely stuff here. I shared with this story because we've been following this for a minute now. And it's further proof in my mind that Richard Hart has orchestrated all this stuff happening. Oh, yeah, give this guy a follow. Why not, right? All this stuff happening on Pulse Chain. And step by step, it was on purpose. So phase one was the, in real life, the tablets being sent out, and a lot of people were giving him shit. Okay. Phase two, move all the SAC funds out of the sacrifice wallet, move it through the mixers so you can easily deploy it in ways you see fit, including paying influencers to talk about and shill Pulse Chain. I don't think this is fully organic, guys. Just you come here for the unvarnished truth. So I'm going to be honest with you. I do not think that it's all coincidental or all organic that this guy and 30 other big influencers are talking about Pulse Chain at the same time. That doesn't just happen organically, guys. Let's be honest. Now, is that bad? Are we now to say, Pulse Chain sucks because they paid for marketing? No, this is good. Wow. How many of you are in altcoins? And every day you're bitching to the founder and the team, when marketing. Well, guess what? Richard Hart's doing marketing. So let's congratulate him. Let's give him his laurels. He's doing right by the community. He's doing right by Pulse Chain. He's paying for marketing. He's orchestrating all of this, and we should be happy.
Yeah, people are like, they paid for this. Of course they did. Everybody pays for marketing. McDonald's pays for marketing. Why would you not want the token you're invested in to pay for marketing? Like you need. It's one of the core principles of business. If you want your business, what's your marketing plan? What's your go to market? What's your sales strategy? Like it's a fundamental aspect of running a business is paying for marketing. So yeah, of course you pay for marketing. Now one thing I did find interesting, I don't know if you just saw the comment I put in here, is Raxi said, I asked Grok the top influencers for Pulse Chain, and we recognize some of these guys. Somi's in here. We see Crypto Coffee in here. You know those guys.
Where's Crypto Hitman? Where's Crypto Paradise? I mean, we've been all.
I don't see it. So yeah, that's what I commented. Hey Grok, you missed Crypto Paradise in here. So
yeah,
if you're watching right now, go to the post here, Raxy, Rakkzy, and like our comment and comment. Crypto Paradise, Crypto Amaru, Crypto Hitman, FUD Crypto. Get us in there. Let them know. Let Grok know and let Raxy know that, hey, Crypto Paradise is here. We've been screaming about Pulse Chain for going on almost a year now.
Absolutely. Yeah, please do that if you guys are watching. That'd be great to see. But, you know, to be fair, some of those guys on that list, I mean, they are Pulse Chain maxis to the death. Like, I don't think Sami has any other crypto tokens. I don't think Crypto Coffee has any other crypto. I could be wrong. I mean, I'm just speculating here. But they are deep. They love Pulse Chain. And I think do not really talk about anything else. We like making money. Okay? We like making money in crypto and trying to make our community members also make money and be happy and have fun and be entertained. And so, if that's your goal, I mean, Pulse Chain is a part of that. Pulse Chain is a cornerstone, I would say. Obviously, surf tokens on Pulse Chain. A lot of the tokens we're involved with, you know, we believe in PLS and HEX and PLSX and all these assets. We talk about them all the time. But that's not to say we don't talk about Bitcoin. That's not to say we don't talk about ETH. That's not to say we don't talk about Solana, meme coins, BNB plays. I mean, you kind of, if you're going to maximize your returns, I think in any given market, you have to be a little bit flexible. You have to say, you know what, I like this, I like that, I like this. You can't be like, oh, I only like this one thing at the expense of all others. So, you know, we're maybe a little bit different, maybe a little bit more wider view. But, man, Pulse Chain, I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this cycle, we look around at all our holdings and go, oh, wow, Pulse Chain did outperform all the other stuff.
Well, I think something we should do here is start reaching out to all these guys that we're not already in contact with and start doing some collab marketing with them.
Absolutely. No, we already did something with Gerard Dog. Sami, we've done some stuff. We know B-Roots.
Yep.
Crypto Coffee was on the show, and we have a token paired with his, and surf pair with his token. So, I mean, we already do. But, yeah, we can reach out to other people.
A few other targets in here for us.
Absolutely. No, these are good people, man. And I think, like, if you're a Pulse Chain guy, or even if you're just a general crypto influencer or whatever you want to call it, you got to be open to these collabs. Like, this industry's tiny, guys. We can't be so tribal and, you know, fuck that team and my team's better. And it's like, no, why don't we work together to try to onboard another billion people? All chains have their merits and downsides. And let's be transparent about it. But let's work together. I mean, there's no sense in, like, being so tribal, in my opinion. I'm sure some people disagree. But in any event, I'd love to work with some of those guys, get them on the show, get their take on the markets, this, that, the other would be great.
Yeah. Well, I got nothing else story-wise to cover. I think we kind of wrapped up everything. Rather slow news day. Pretty much it was, you know, there was the Solana announcement. There was the rate cuts. There was a tariff announcement. Consensus announced their IPO. Otherwise, everybody else is just bitching about red candles. So there wasn't too much. Wasn't a whole lot else to cover.
The news was sell the news. The news was we got what we wanted from Powell, minus a little bit of equivocation and some throwing a little bit of cold water on the potential December rate cut, which, by the way, is still going to happen. But he threw a little cold water on that, and then, of course, everyone's running off for the hills. I'm holding, as always. You hold through the up, you hold through the down. You think long term. You look back a year ago, we were down 60% from where we're at today. So if you're thinking in those terms, what happens in the day-to-day does not matter too much. Hope you guys didn't get liquidated. Hope you're being a little conservative with the leverage trading. Do not do the 100x. You know, one thing I think is crazy too. You know, I'm on this Watcher Guru, and then we can end the show in a sec. but I'm on the Watcher Guru. You know Watcher Guru, right? You got to subscribe to the Watcher Guru. But they like as soon as a news drops that's relevant for crypto, like they announce it, right? It's cool, and they also announce the liquidations that are happening. But one thing I noticed is like the liquidations have been getting, first of all, more frequent, or at least they're reporting them more frequently, and they're happening on much smaller moves. We'll get like a 2% move on Bitcoin on the day, and Watcher Guru will like $1 billion liquidated on a 2% move. What kind of leverage you guys using? Like 50 times? Like, stop it. Just stop using 50x leverage. Don't go full degen, guys. It's not worth it. You'll lose your money. I'll just leave it at that. Stay strong out there, folks. Stay strong.
Yeah, I mean, that's if I ever do any leverage trading, I use 10x, and even for me, that's like, man, if the price was 10%, I'm liquidated, and that can be a wide margin. I don't understand people with like a tick of a move and you're liquidated at 100x, like insane. I don't know what people are doing, but Godspeed, everybody.
You're gonna be liquidated every day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, or every other day, because you'll get it wrong half the time. 50x is also bananas. It's also because the market's 2% on the day that's also happens every day, basically, right? On Bitcoin. So yeah, stay safe out there, my fellow degens. Just hodl, hold spot, hodl strong. 30 days. What is it? First of all, it's 40 days until the next rate decision, and the data shows you that leading up to that, you're right. We get to sell the news, but then leading into the next rate cut, we're always higher. You heard it from Nate. Those are the facts. That's the data. Take from that what you will. And until next time, guys, we'll see you on the beach.